Witchfire is a game filled with a bunch of little details, many of which have religious significance. Which makes sense because you are a weapon of the church after all, sent to fight witches. So what we are going to do in this video is look at most of the symbols that the astronauts put in this game and learn about their historic and religious significance. And there's a lot. First, let's talk about all the little details that are in the guns in this game. Not every gun has a little hidden symbol gem in it, but some of them do, like the Vulture for example. If you've seen my Fallout 3 video, you'll learn that this is the Omega symbol, which usually symbolizes the end. Which makes sense, because the prayer's goal is to end the witch of the Black Sea. By the way, I don't know who needs to hear this, spell check, but it's prayer with 2 E's for a reason. I don't know how many times I've told spell check to ignore that. It's not a mistake. It's a play on words between prayer and prey. Because you're a guy who prays, but also hunts for prey in the undead variant. Anyways, that's probably just the capital Alpha, in whatever font you would want to call that, to complete the Alpha and Omega combo. To go with the biblical verse, I am the Alpha and Omega, yada yada yada, water of life, yada yada yada. But the rest of it goes, but the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magical arts, the idolaters, and all liars, they will be consigned to the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. So yeah, that all checks out with the overall vibe of the game, I think. Moving on. Does anyone else think that it's odd that a shotgun that sets your enemies on fire has a feather on its stock? I mean, yeah, one of the things that this gun does is send your opponents flying, so that just might be it. But hear me out. First, it's not just a feather, it's a black feather. Is this just so it contrasts easily with the white stock? Maybe. Also in Christianity, black feathers can be perceived in 2 ways. A sign that a guardian angel is watching over you. Other times it could be an omen of misfortune and death. In European folklore, is often associated with witchcraft, which is sort of this game's like whole thing. So if you're a godforsaken witch hunter, tying around this gun is sort of like a call an ambulance but not for me kind of symbol. But with the black tip, it could also be a quill to be a play on the words the pen is mightier than the sword, or to symbolize the power of the written word referenced in Ephesians 6:17. Sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God and all that jazz. The gun Hunger is a community favorite, and that stands true with me also. But not just because it's a trusty old big iron, but because of the little details that they put in it. For example, look, the primer. It's a cross. Or is it? I mean, yeah, it is. But just let me pitch something. If you turn those bullets upside down, you'll get 2 things. First is a St. Peter's cross, which is upside down because St. Peter requested to be crucified upside down because he felt unworthy to die the same way Christ did. Sort of like how the prayer is unworthy of salvation and that's why he's doing all this. The second thing you get is a Wiccan symbol called an athame. An athame is a dagger used in pagan and Wiccan rituals, so it's like you're referring to your gun as a blade. And doing that has been done in media before, when having a gun makes more sense for the time period. Like in this scene from Baz Luhrmann's 1996 Modern Romeo and Juliet, when they refer to their guns as swords.
Put up your swords!
But also stamped in the side of this gun is 1714 Roman numerals. Why? I don't really have a solid idea. When I googled 1714 witchcraft, I got, in 1714, Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry issued the 1714 Edict, which established rules for students visiting Hogsmeade on weekends. I don't think that's it, but then I thought, maybe it's another Bible reference, like Revelation 17:14. They will wage war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will triumph over them because he is Lord of Lords and King of Kings. And with him will be his called, chosen, and faithful followers. But let me know in the comments if you have any other ideas. Maybe it's just simply the year the gun was made. But if that's the case, then why is 1972 stamped on the psychopomp? Is this gun from the future? But let's just move on to something that might make a little bit more sense. Oh look, a sniper rifle, everyone likes those. This is Hailstorm, This gun stock also has something on it. You might have seen this when you first entered the Hermitorium. This is a rose window. Rose windows are very common in Gothic architecture, usually above the west side door to allow for ultimum lighting. There's a bunch of ideas behind the symbolic nature of these windows. One of the ideas is to make the light feel like God's divine presence. Yeah, I mean, it is a church after all. Another idea revolves around cycles, because another name for these windows is a wheel window, implying that all things are subject to change and to the cycles of the universe, like life, death, summer, winter, taxes, tax returns, that sort of thing. But the last idea I'll talk about is one of geometry, that the window is made up of a bunch of smaller individual windows that make it whole, and that being a metaphor for the universe, that the universe is made up of a bunch of small things that complete it. So how does this translate to the gun's characteristics? Well, a bunch of small individual shots make one big hit and that completes the gun cycle. But also, this window is broken. God's light is no longer shining on this place. And the prayer cycle is broken because he's immortal. I don't know if that's what they were going for here, but that's what I'm saying and I'm sticking to it. And in case you're wondering if this place looks familiar, here you go. This is the Santuario Madonna della Corona, and I'd bet my paycheck that this is the inspiration for the Hermitorium. It's not like I'm betting a lot, but I think it's a pretty safe bet. It's pretty much a copy-paste. They both have the same number of pointy thingies, the same trim at the top there. I'm probably using the wrong words, but you know what I'm saying. There's even the same little outcropping overhang thing there, and the same little side altar, like the altar that you use to level up. But the interior is where they use their artistic freedom to make it seem more gothic and medieval, with emphasis on evil. It still has the same layout, but most churches do so that they can represent a kind of shallow cross. It's just that this church couldn't do the right transepts because, well, there's a big ass cliff there. So what they did instead is put a stained glass window of this guy. These windows usually depict a saint, and I must have looked at every stained glass window out there trying to figure out if this is based on a real saint, but I couldn't find anything. My best guess is that it's legendary saint Drew Brees. So if any of you watching are stained glass window experts, let me know if you know something that I don't. But that's all I'm going to cover for now. I hope you enjoyed learning about this as much as I did. But like I said before, there's a lot of stuff to cover. And there's still more that I want to cover. But time is something that I have to consider, because none of us are immortal like the prayer, with 2 E's. So I hope you'll stick around for next week when I try to tackle this monstrosity. It's a lot. Thank you and take care.